Have you ever looked at the numbers? Women make up almost half the global workforce, which is amazing, but they hold less than a third of senior leadership roles. So what's going on there? Today we're going to get into it. We're going to talk about what it even means to be a modern woman, and more importantly, how we can all build a real, genuine framework for support and allyship. Okay, let's dive in.
So let's just start with a really big question. When you hear the phrase strong woman, what's the first image that pops into your head? Is it a CEO in a boardroom? A mom juggling a million things? Maybe an activist on the front lines? The truth is, that definition has gotten so much richer and way more complex, and that's exactly what we're going to unpack together.
So here's our game plan. First, we're going to redefine what it means to be a modern woman. Then, we'll get into a really crucial concept called intersectionality. And after that, we'll talk about how to actually practice allyship every day. We'll also cover support systems and self-care, and then wrap it all up with how you fit into this picture for the future.
All right, first things first. Let's build a new, better understanding of the modern woman, one that completely leaves those old one-dimensional stereotypes in the past where they belong.
You know, this isn't about just swapping one label for another. It's about getting rid of the labels entirely. See, the modern woman refuses to be defined by a single role or some outdated expectation. She's really the architect of her own life, and she's building a path that is 100% hers.
In her ambition, it's not just about climbing a corporate ladder. It's way more interesting than that. It's not about that old, stressful cliché of having it all. Instead, it's about integration, weaving together her personal dreams, her career goals, and her desire to make the world a little better. Success looks different for everyone, and she celebrates all of those unique versions.
And here's what's so interesting. While every woman's journey is totally individual, there's this powerful invisible thread that connects them. Whether it's fighting for fair pay or just trying to carve out 5 minutes for self-care, these shared experiences create this incredible connection between women from all over.
And this really captures that whole idea, doesn't it? It's not a solo mission. It's a journey we take together, one that's fueled by shared stories, common challenges, and a collective strength that is just, well, it's incredibly powerful.
Okay, let's build on that. To really truly understand and support women, we have to talk about a concept that is absolutely critical for any real allyship, and that concept is intersectionality.
So what on earth is it? Well, intersectionality is basically a lens. It helps us see how different parts of a person's identity, like their race, their class, their sexual orientation, whether they have a disability, how all these things don't just exist separately. They overlap and intersect, creating totally unique experiences. So, for example, a white woman and a black woman might both face sexism, right? But the black woman's experience is going to be shaped by the unique combination of her race and her gender.
This isn't some brand new idea, but it's one that has, thankfully, become so much more central to the conversation. It was actually coined way back in 1991 by the brilliant legal scholar Dr. Kimberly Crenshaw. Her work gave us the words to finally describe how these overlapping identities create these layers of challenges that you just can't see if you're only looking at gender. This really makes the difference super clear. A generic approach to women's issues often just defaults to the experiences of the most privileged women in the room, like, say, a white, able-bodied, cisgender woman. But an intersectional approach, that recognizes that a black woman, a disabled woman, or a trans woman faces compounded challenges that we have to address specifically. And here's the bottom line, why this matters so much. Without this intersectional lens, any effort we make toward gender equity is pretty much doomed to fail. Why? Because if we only solve problems for the most privileged women, we're leaving millions of others behind and just reinforcing the very inequalities we say we're trying to fight. True equality has to mean equality for all women, period.
Okay, so we've got the theory down. Now for the fun part. How do we actually do this stuff? This section is all about turning good intentions into real action, with a practical toolkit for allyship you can use every single day.
It all starts with these 3 basic steps. First, acknowledge your privilege. And hey, this isn't about feeling guilty. It's about recognizing you have certain advantages that you can use as a tool to open doors for other people. Second, you got to challenge your own biases. We all have them. Just pause and ask yourself, why do I think that? And third, learn to amplify, not take over. Use your position to pass the mic to someone else. So what does this look like in the real world? Well, it looks like white women using their platforms to advocate for their black colleagues. It's cisgender women making sure their feminism creates safe, welcoming spaces for trans women. And it's something called active sponsorship, which is more than just advice. It's using your actual influence to help someone get that promotion or that raise, especially when they aren't even in the room to speak for themselves.
Okay, let's get specific and talk about the workplace. Have you ever heard of the term invisible labor? This is all that stuff that keeps an office running. Planning the holiday party, taking notes in the meeting, mentoring the new person. It's essential work, but it's often totally unrecognized. And guess what? Study after study shows it disproportionately falls on women.
Now here is probably one of the most powerful phrases you can have in your allyship toolkit. It's so simple. When you see a woman get interrupted in a meeting, just stepping in with this line does two amazing things. It immediately gives her back the floor, and it sends a crystal clear message to everyone else that her voice matters. It's such a small act, but it has a massive impact.
And here we have a fantastic little checklist for how to be a champion for women at work. Actively ask for their input in meetings. Don't let them be an afterthought. Be that person who interrupts the interrupters. Challenge biased language. If you hear a woman called bossy, ask yourself, would I ever say that about a man? Make sure that office housework gets passed around fairly. And finally, celebrate their wins, loudly and publicly. This directly fights something called the likability penalty, which is this proven bias where successful women are often seen as less likable, something that just doesn't happen to men in the same way.
Real allyship isn't just about what you do for other people. It's also about helping create an environment where women can actually thrive. And that takes strong networks, solid boundaries, and a real commitment to self-care.
Let's talk about a tiny, two-letter word that is an absolute game changer. No. For women, who are so often taught to be helpful and agreeable, learning to say no without feeling guilty is a truly revolutionary act of self-preservation. It protects your mental health and saves your energy for the things that actually matter to you.
And that little word, no, is part of a much bigger picture. Self-care is not selfish, it is absolutely essential. And I'm not just talking about bubble baths and face masks, I'm talking about setting real limits, prioritizing your mental health, maybe by seeking therapy, taking actual breaks to avoid burnout, and, so importantly, building a true sisterhood, a network that's built on mutual support where you're all lifting each other up.
So all of this brings us to our final and maybe our most important section. What's your role in all of this? How can you take all these ideas and use them to help build a better, more equitable future?
It really boils down to a simple commitment to action. First, commit to learning. Never stop. Listen with genuine empathy and keep educating yourself. Second, be the ally, right there in the moment. Speak up. Don't wait. And third, actively empower the people around you. Make that introduction. Share that job opportunity. Celebrate their wins. Remember, imperfect action is so much better than perfect inaction.
So we'll leave you with this question to carry with you. This isn't about solving every problem in the world overnight. It's about starting small. It's about starting now. So, what is one connection you can make? One introduction you can offer? Or just one word of encouragement you can give this week to lift another woman up? Because that is how real change begins. One person and one connection at a time.